Good afternoon, everyone. In today's video, we're going to go over how to do a listing audit for your Google My Business listing. For this video, we're going to use an example listing called Bob's Law Firm at 100 Main Street, White Plains, New York, 10601. Just to let you know, this listing is not a real listing. It's not a verified listing. It's just a listing that I made and set up till I got to the step of sending out the postcard. So you have verification required. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is the category count. Are there 4 or more categories selected for this listing? So how do you see the categories? You're going to click into the listing. You're going to click Info. You're going to go to Category. Are there 4 more categories here? That's counting primary and secondary. If yes, then this audit failed. If no, then this step of the audit passed. The reason why you don't want 4 more categories selected for a Google My Business listing is the more categories you have past 3, the much higher chances of your knowledge graph disappearing because the categories don't have enough content behind them. Now, if you have 4 more categories and you're sure you have the content behind those categories, they're built out on your website and what have you, and that's perfectly fine. But if there are categories there for the sake of adding categories, that's going to have your knowledge graph have a high chance of disappearing on you. So for this step, we're going to say no issues found at this time. Yep, and here's the category supported by content. Once again, this is an example listing. There's no website behind it. For the sake of this audit, we're going to say that the content is supported. And all you would do is you would go to a website. You would check their services that they offer, their practices that they offer, and do they line up with the categories selected on the listing. All right. It's going to say no issues found at this time. Is this a multi-location business? Does it have more than one location? Bob's Law Firm, once again, it's an example listing. And we're going to say it has 1 location. So is this a multi-location business? No, we're not going to check this. Radius problem detected. Does this listing's radius overlap with other listings from the business? This pertains more to service area businesses or hybrid businesses. And what can happen is, let me just open up Google Maps. And let's look at, I'm just picking a random city here, Concord. Cool. So if you had 2 service area businesses, let's say one was in Canterbury, one was in Concord. Let's say the Concord service area business only had Concord listed as the area it services. Great. But let's say your Canterbury listing said it serviced Canterbury and Concord. You have now failed the audit, and you'll be lucky if Google doesn't come along and suspend those listings, because you can only have 1 listing per area for service area businesses. So 1 service area business can state it services 10 areas, but you can't have 2 or more service area business listings saying they cover the same locations. That's double dipping in a sense, and Google can and will suspend you for that. For our example listing, Bob's Law Firm, we're going to say there's no issues found at this time. Is an app consistent? Well, once again, this is an example listing. We would say that citations look perfect, but let's look at this listing here, Law Office of Raffaele Arfin LLC. If you watched our previous videos and videos to come, you'll see a lot of our videos are based off this listing. For the record, this is not our client. It's a random listing that we picked in Google Maps. And let's go do a Google search. Actually, let's search the number. We're going to search the phone number here. All we're trying to do is see if when we type in information that we know to be correct, such as a name or phone number, what comes up with the address. And vice versa. If we type in an address and phone number, are there variations we see in the name? For the most part, for this listing, the name looks all correct. This is interesting. So there's no information on BuzzFile. It's just an old cache of a profile. But I guess at one point in time, this phone number was used by Zach Realty LLC. So we would skip that. So here's some issues of NAP consistency. For Law Officer Raphael Finn, he only shows one address in East Berlin, Connecticut. But we're seeing information pull up about a Plainsville location and a Newington location. So those are the kind of things we're looking for NAP consistency. Just to keep the video consistent, we're going to say Bob's Law Firm has consistent NAP. But those are the things you would look for if you're doing a NAP audit. Generally, you want to use the website as well as the Google My Business listing as the baseline for your formatting. So if you're going to use Bob's Law Firm on your Google My Business listing, that's what it should be on your website, and then that's what it should be throughout all your citations. The same with the address, the same with the phone number. Can there be slight variations? Sure, but you want to try to stay as close to uniformly the same as possible throughout the internet. Are the business hours complete? Well, yes, we have our open 24 hours. We open 24 hours Monday through Friday. We're closed Saturday and Sunday for Bob's Law Firm. Now, I would make a note, just because you have a phone recording messenger, just because you have a way to record voicemail left on your phone after hours, that does not constitute as you being open. If Google was to find out that you have something listed as 24 hours, then they would challenge that and be, hey, do you have staff that works around the clock? Because if no, just because you're able to take voicemails and whatnot, doesn't mean you're able to say you're open 24 hours. So I would mark that. I would just say, hey, the listing, or I would even just say, verify with the client to see when their business hours are. Are the special hours complete? Nope. And we can just throw in some generic holidays, Christmas, New Year's, what have you. Label check healthy. What does the label check mean? So all the label check means is, if we come down here to the label section, some people like to keyword stuff this. Don't do that. That can and will get you suspended. The labels, this section doesn't even impact your rankings, but if Google sees you trying to abuse this section, they won't hesitate to suspend you either. So we're going to say there's no issues found at this time. All right, was a local phone number used? Is this listing using a local business number? So we don't have a phone number on this listing just because, once again, it's an example listing. But New York's area code is generally 845 for phone numbers. So you'd want to use an 845 number. So 45. You wouldn't want to use an area code that doesn't pertain to the location of your listing. The tracking number used. Tracking numbers are great. Let's say you had an office listing and a practitioner listing, and you only had one phone number, but you wanted to track the differences of traffic coming into each listing. You can go use a tracking phone number service. And what you would do is you would generate two tracking numbers that forward to one forwarding number, such as 845, 555, 5555. And all you do is take the forwarding number on Google My Business, put that as the additional phone number, and your tracking number will go here. As your primary number. You don't need to have I guess it doesn't like me doing that. One moment. We'll just say that. There we go. So the 5554 is our tracking number. Our 5555 number is our forwarding number. And you don't have to have your tracking number everywhere on the web. In fact, a lot of people don't. They only have tracking numbers for their Google My Business listing. As long as your forwarding number is a secondary number on your Google My Business listing, you are perfectly fine. It's not going to mess up your citations, your NAP consistency. So, is tracking number in use? No. Well, now that we added it, we're going to say yes. And are there any issues? No issues found at this time. All right. Is a location page photo used? So we're going to go to photos. No, so we have to add a photo. Is Q&A populated? No. Where can you find Q&A? Q&A will appear right here on the knowledge graph. If there are questions that have been left, this is where you will see them pop up. So we're going to say no. Review rating. Our fictional listing has no reviews, so no reviews. Oops. So we'll say 0. Review responded to, we have no reviews, so are there any posts? Posts will appear down here on your knowledge graph. There are also no posts at this time on our example listing. Is there a Google My Business website on your listing? This is where you will see if there's a website. If you see published, that means it's not published yet. If you see live in the top right, that means it's live. So no GMB website. And then you would just take any notes that you have. We want to add special holidays and verify the business hours. And that concludes our audit. We'll mark it as need improvement, and I'll see you in your next video. Take care now.